What's good, fam? Teacher Eddie here with another live stream. Saturday night, got nothing better to do. Figured I'd hang out with all you lovely people tonight. And I got a huge donation from somebody today who wants to remain anonymous. So we'll just call them Mr. Anonymous. Mr. Anonymous was extremely generous with their donation, did not want me to say how much or anything else, but because Mr. Anonymous knows I am a huge fan of movies, um, he asked me if I could do a tier list. And I've been wanting to do a tier list for a while now. Um, and it's the top 250 of IMDb. So again, IMDb is not the be all end all, of course, of the movie rankings, but I figured why not? Let's go through them. So we have our tier here. We have our God tier movies, masterpiece movies, amazing movies, great movies, good movies, okay movies, bad movies, and shite movies. And of course, movies that I haven't watched. There may be, a few here and there that I haven't seen, but I'm pretty confident I have seen most of the movies on the list here. So without further ado, I guess let's get into it, right? So, first movie on our list here, this is going to be a hot take, Shawshank Redemption. Shawshank, for whatever reason, has been like the number one movie on IMDb like forever. Now, Shawshank is a great movie. I want to say good, but I'll say great. But I feel it is extremely overrated. I mean, there are so many other movies that I would put at number one, including the movie right next to it, Godfather, Godfather 2, 12 Angry Men. I mean, the Casablanca. There's so many movies I would put ahead of it. So Shawshank, and again, I don't want to get too deep into all these movies because we got 250 to get through. So some movies I'm not going to have a lot to say on. Some movies I will have a lot to say on. As far as Shawshank goes, great story. One of the best of the Stephen King adaptations. But overall, I just feel it's extremely overrated. So I would put Shawshank as a great movie. Not amazing, not a masterpiece, and definitely not God tier. So that's where I put Shawshank. Now, Godfather, there's really not much to say about Godfather. I mean, Godfather is by far one of the greatest movies of all time. The cast of that movie is by far probably one of the biggest star-making casts of all time. This is the movie that made Al Pacino. This is the movie that made James Caan. This is the movie that made Diane Keaton. This is the movie that gave a resurgence to one of the greatest actors of all time, Marlon Brando. The list just goes on and on and on. Amazing story, amazing cinematography, the direction. I mean, this is not even a question that this is a God tier movie, Godfather. Next on the list, Lord of the Rings. Again, great movie, ranked way too high from my opinion, at least. Lord of the Rings. I'll put Lord of the Rings under good. It's a good movie. And this one is which one? See, it's so tiny I can't even really see which one this is. I think this is Return of the King. Well, you know what? Return of the King, I'll put it under great. I'll put it under great. Return of the King was great. Uh let's see who's next on it. Fight Club. Now, Fight Club is an amazing movie. Fight Club is a great movie. Fight Club was a game changer when it came out. As far as, it was kind of in that era of twist ending movies, right? Like The Sixth Sense, Usual Suspects, and before the internet was extremely prevalent with spoilers and everything else. It's amazing how well kept those twist endings were. Fight Club, Is it amazing or is it great? Mm, I'm kind of going between amazing and great. I gotta put Fight Club. I'll put it under great. Forrest Gump. All right, Forrest Gump is a tough one. So Forrest Gump, I remember when Forrest Gump came out, 94. And 94 was arguably one of the best Oscar years of all time. So in 94, you had Shawshank Redemption. You also had Pulp Fiction. And you had Forrest Gump. And then you had a couple of other really great movies that, kind of aren't spoken about as much today, like Quiz Show, for example. Quiz Show is an amazing movie based on a true story. So it was a monster year for the Oscars that year. A lot of people felt Shawshank would win Best Picture or Pulp Fiction, but it went to Forrest Gump. And over the years, there's been kind of a disdain for whatever reason for Forrest Gump. A lot of people say it's an overrated movie. I couldn't disagree more. Forrest Gump is an amazing movie. Tom Hanks gives a tour de force performance in this movie, a well-deserved back-to-back Oscar. Tom Hanks wins the Oscar in 93 for Philadelphia, and he wins it in 94 for Forrest Gump, becoming only the second actor in history to win back-to-back Best Acting Oscars, the other being Spencer Tracy. Spencer Tracy won for Boys Town, and I forget the other one. I believe it was Captain Courageous back in the 30s. But Tom Hanks and Spencer Tracy, only two actors to win Best Acting Oscars back to back. Forrest Gump, I gotta put, I'm putting under amazing. Forrest Gump was an amazing, amazing movie. Inception. Inception, I don't know. Inception is one of those movies that I feel are so overly complicated that it's made for people to kind of be able to say, oh man, you just didn't get it. You didn't get it, man. You didn't get it. I totally got the movie, so obviously I'm brilliant, unlike yourself. Inception, I watched it one time and had no inclination to ever want to watch it again. Was it a bad movie? No, but I would say it was an okay movie. That may be a hot take. I know there's a lot of Chris Nolan fans out there, but I don't think it's anywhere near Nolan's best work. Let's see. Next, we have Lord of the Rings. I believe this is Two Towers. Definitely not as good as Return of the King. I'll put it under good. I love fantasy movies. That's one of my favorite things. As you guys probably know, I'm a huge fan of Star Wars. Got the Star Wars ink right here. But I love movies with mythology, a mythos behind it. Great, whether it's legends or gods or things of that nature. And Lord of the Rings has it in abundance. It's just Lord of the Rings, I mean, like the big complaint everybody had, way too long, just too long. Just too much walking, too much, just too much. And those endings in Return of the King, man. You're like, oh man, what a great movie. Oh wait, the movie's not over yet. Oh man, that was beautiful. I loved it, man. Everybody's in bed together. Frodo and everybody, they're having that gangbang at the end. Oh wait, the movie's not over. So that's my big complaint with the Lord of the Rings movies. Otherwise, I mean, the battle scenes are amazing, visually spectacular, but not in the upper echelon for me. Empire Strikes Back. So Empire Strikes Back is, for many people, the best Star Wars movie. It's everybody's favorite Star Wars movie. Not only for the visual spectacle, the story, but we get a deeper look into Vader. And it's one of the first times that a movie ends with the villains, the bad guys, winning. And that was a game changer. Empire, see, I don't want to bias it. I do want to put it as a masterpiece, but I'll put it under amazing. The first Matrix movie. I saw the first Matrix movie in the theaters when it came out. The first Matrix movie, is obviously a classic. The other two Matrix movies, not so much. Especially the second one. Second one was just like, what the hell is going on here? But the first Matrix movie is definitely a classic. Definitely, I would put it as a great movie. Absolutely a great movie. Uh, Again, it was pioneering with the special effects. Great story, interesting story. Just all around, just great movie. Goodfellas. All right, Goodfellas. This one's pretty simple. No, ooh, that's tough. Masterpiece or God tier. Goodfellas is just such a great movie. The story, again, the direction of Martin Scorsese, the acting performances of De Niro and especially, of course, Pesci. But the entire cast. The only time I found Ray Liotta to be tolerable in a movie, I find Ray Liotta to be annoying in most movies. But Goodfellas is just a classic, and it is one of the biggest travesties in Oscar history that Goodfellas lost out the Academy Award to Dances with Wolves with Kevin Costner in 1990. I believe that's when, yeah, it came out in 1990. And it lost Best Picture to Dances with Wolves, which was, I hope Dances with Wolves is not on this top 250 list. Also, quickly, just want to shout out some of the people we have with us here on Twitch. I'm streaming live on Twitch and YouTube as well. Death Machine 817, Archie Irwin. I hope I pronounced this right. JL Salazar, Jords. Hope everyone's having a great night. Khalid the One, Nick Harden, El Dago. Again, this was kind of an impromptu last second thing, so I'm sure more people are going to be coming in. We're already up to 44 people on both. Let's see. What do we have next? One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Definitely a masterpiece. So this is going to be my first masterpiece. Not quite God tier, but definitely a masterpiece of a movie. This comes out in, I believe, 1975, if I'm not mistaken. It was either 74, 75, somewhere around there. Early on in Jack Nicholson's career, Jack Nicholson gets his big break in the movie Easy Rider with Peter Fonda. And then goes on to make some amazing movies, but One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was his first of 3 Academy Award winning performances. Jack Nicholson also won Best Supporting Actor for, I forgot the name of the movie. It's escaping me right now. And he won Best Actor again for As Good as It Gets. Best Supporting Actor, he won for Terms of Endearment. So Jack Nicholson is a 3-time Academy Award winner, obviously nominated way more than that. It's an amazing movie based on a great book. The book is absolutely phenomenal. His performance in that movie is just nothing short of brilliant. It becomes, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest becomes the first movie to sweep the Oscars. It becomes the second movie to sweep the Oscars. The first one was the Clark Gable movie, It Happened One Night. So that means it won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, and Best Screenplay, right? Those are the 5 major categories. So the first movie was It Happened One Night, came out in the 1930s. The second movie to do that was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And Silence of the Lambs came close. It missed out on one of the categories, but Silence of the Lambs did win Best Picture. Director Anthony Hopkins won Oscar. I believe Jodie Foster won Actress. I think it didn't win Screenplay. I think that was the one. But definitely a masterpiece of a movie. Let's see. Next on the list is Seven Samurai. I believe that's Seven Samurai because I recognize Toshiro Mifune there. Seven Samurai is definitely God tier. No. Don't drop in Masterpiece. That is a God tier movie. So Seven Samurai is a Japanese movie directed by Akira Kurosawa. Akira Kurosawa Arguably is either the greatest director of all time or definitely in the argument for top three. Akira Kurosawa, much better known, of course, in the East than in the West, but for big movie buffs, cinephiles like myself, Akira Kurosawa is probably the most plagiarized director of all time. Whether it's the Sergio Leone spaghetti westerns, whether it's some Scorsese movies, like the big directors. For example, Seven Samurai was remade in America as the Magnificent Seven. All of the Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, For a Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More, those are all direct ripoffs of Akira Kurosawa's samurai movies like Sanjuro and Yojimbo. And Kurosawa, his influence is really immeasurable when it comes to movies. If you've not seen Seven Samurai, definitely, please see it. Let's see. Can I tell you that I'm more like IMDb top rated TV shows? And 10th place of all shows is God tier show, best animated series of all time. Okay. I've not actually looked at their TV rankings, but yeah. Let's see what's next on our list. Seven. Seven is for me. Seven is a masterpiece. It really is. Seven comes out right around the same time as Fight Club, and that was Brad Pitt's Brad Pitt had like a 7-8 year stretch there between like 12 Monkeys, Seven, Fight Club. Brad Pitt was on a roll, like one of the best like movie roles of all time. And Seven is just an absolute, just, I almost want to put it in God tier, but masterpiece is good enough for it. But the performances by Pitt, Freeman, and whatever you may think of him now, Kevin Spacey as John Doe, just absolutely brilliant. The ending, the crimes, the way the movie's shot. David Fincher, one of the most underappreciated directors. As far as just thrillers go, I wouldn't exactly call it a horror movie, even though some scenes are definitely tough, for some people to watch, but definitely a masterpiece of a thriller. Just a great movie. What do we have next? Life is Beautiful. Oh my God, I remember this movie. Roberto Benigni. I remember when Roberto Benigni won the Oscar for this movie, and it was like one of the most ridiculous, it was the only memorable thing of that year for the Oscars was Roberto Benigni, instead of walking down the aisle like everybody else, he started climbing over the seats and like stepping on people as he's walking to the stage. It was a good movie. Actually, it was an okay movie. It's a movie, of course. It's a movie about the Holocaust, so that's always like Oscar bait, kind of like playing somebody with disabilities. Life is Beautiful. It was an okay movie. City of God. I was actually talking to Kin, one of my admins and my BFF on the Discord. City of God is a masterpiece of a movie. Most people have not seen it because it's a foreign movie and most people don't like the subtitles thing. But if you have not seen City of God, absolutely see it. It is an amazing, just beautifully shot movie, heartbreaking movie to watch, but definitely worth it. Silence of the Lambs. We just spoke about this. Silence of the Lambs, I will put as an amazing movie for a couple of reasons. There's a couple of reasons why I'm not putting it as a masterpiece. The movie survives mostly on the performance of Anthony Hopkins. And Anthony Hopkins is in the movie for a very short period of time, something like 15, 17 minutes. It's a good movie. The story's average. There's really nothing super special about the story. Oh boy, who plays Buffalo Bill, was it Buffalo Bill? Buffalo whatever. Great actor. He had some key scenes. I find Jodie Foster to be extremely annoying in this movie. The accent, it kind of reminds me of every time Kevin Costner tries to do an accent in a movie. She just doesn't pull it off. I find Jodie Foster to be an extremely overrated actress, even though she's a two-time Academy Award winner. And for that reason, the movie is amazing solely based on the scenes with Hopkins. Hopkins carries this movie on his back. I'm surprised he could still walk after that. Jimmy Stewart in It's a Wonderful Life. So It's a Wonderful Life, of course, a Christmas staple, an amazing movie. Um, but not one of Jimmy Stewart's best. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Stewart. I love my favorite Jimmy Stewart movie is probably Harvey, followed closely by The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. But Jimmy Stewart has so many great movies. But It's a Wonderful Life is a good movie. It's a very good movie. It's a fun movie to watch, but it's not an all-time great. The first Star Wars movie, Episode 4, New Hope. Um, Obviously, this movie changed not just movie history, but pop culture history. I mean, it was a complete game changer. Are there some missteps in the movie? Absolutely. Is it a masterpiece? Well, if I'm not putting Empire as a masterpiece, I have to put it as an amazing movie because I can't put it above Empire. Let's see here. Saving Private Ryan. That's a good question. Saving Private Ryan. I have to put it as a masterpiece. If forget the rest of the movie, just the first 20 minutes of that movie is gut wrenching. Just you can't say enough about what Spielberg put into this movie. But the rest of the movie is amazing. Amazing cast. Obviously under the direction of Steven Spielberg, you know, he's probably arguably top 3 as far as goes like storytellers, like the ability to tell a story in a movie. Let's see, make a whoosh. Make a whoosh. Whoosh! City of God was with the gang kids in South America, right? Damn, that's a brutal one. Yes, that's the one, yeah. Kiddo, Saving Private Ryan, easily one of the best, if not the best, war type movie. Yeah, I have to agree. It's really hard to think of a movie that to put over Saving Private Ryan. It's just an amazing movie. Um, Spirited Away. Spirited Away, absolutely. I believe somebody asked like, what do you think the best animated movie is? Spirited Away is in the conversation for me. It would definitely be top 5 at the very least. Um, I would put it as a great movie. But Spirited Away, absolutely fantastic. The Green Mile is my favorite Stephen King adaptation. There's just something about The Green Mile. It's not like I mean, it is a great movie. It's not a masterpiece of a movie, but there's something about it that there are certain movies you watch that transport you. You forget you're watching a movie and you feel like you're just in a journey, right? Like kind of like when you read a book, right? Your imagination takes over. And there's just something, at least for me, with The Green Mile that whenever I watch it, I just feel like I just go on a journey with it. I have to put it as an amazing movie. Interstellar. I have no clue what IMDb voters are thinking. Interstellar is probably going to be my first bad movie. It is not a good movie. I mean, I don't get Interstellar at all. Yeah, yeah, I got nothing to say. Parasite. So Parasite was a big hit that just kind of came out of nowhere and won the Academy Award for Best Picture. Um, Parasite is a great movie. I have to put it under great. It is a great movie. The Professional, aka Leon. This was as much as Jean Reno as Leon was amazing. This movie is heavily carried by Gary Oldman as the bad guy, one of the best villains in movie history. The Professional, man. Uh, I gotta put it as great. It's a great movie. The Usual Suspects. The Usual Suspects, I'll put as a good movie. It hasn't aged very well over the years, but it is still an amazing movie, strictly based on the performances. Benicio del Toro is amazing in the movie. Even Stephen Baldwin is tolerable. Um, and of course, again, Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey just had that run in the 90s, man, with The Usual Suspects, American Pie, Seven. I mean, he just had a hell of a run, and then unfortunately what happened happened. This one I am not sure. It's definitely a Kurosawa movie, but because it's in Japanese, I am not sure what movie this is, or Chinese. It could be Rashomon. It could be Sanjuro. It could be Yojimbo. But any one of those three is gonna be a masterpiece. The Lion King. Interesting. The Lion King. It is a classic. Um, I'll put it as a great movie. It is one of my favorite Disney movies. Godfather Part 2, there is no discussion here. Uh, I'm putting it first as far as the God tier goes. That is one of my top three movies. Godfather 2 is probably, I would say, well, no, not even probably. Al Pacino gives the greatest acting performance in all of movie history in this movie. Al Pacino's performance in this movie is something that could be studied for an entire semester. I could discuss Al Pacino's performance in this movie for hours, and I've done that on Discord. I could break down scenes, like 30-second scenes in this movie for like half an hour. It is possibly the most perfect movie ever made. It is just such a ridiculous shame that Al Pacino lost the Academy Award to, of all people, Art Carney for a movie called Harry and Tonto, 1974. Um, I love Art Carney. Art Carney is one of the greatest comedians of all time, a great actor. As far as The Honeymooners is my favorite TV show of all time, but there was no excuse for Al Pacino not winning the Oscar that year. Yeah, that's God tier right there. The Dark Knight. This is a tough one. The Dark Knight, really? Okay. I mean, it's a great movie. It's carried by Heath Ledger. It's a good movie. It is a good movie. The Dark Knight is, I mean, just looking back on the Nolan movies, to be honest with you, having that, kind of like, especially after the MCU, because after this we get Iron Man and the whole MCU thing. And just in hindsight, the first Batman movie, Batman Begins, not a great movie. Too much backstory. The villain was not all that. The villain was interesting. I just didn't feel like Liam Neeson was a good fit to play Ra's al Ghul. The third movie, Tom Hardy, amazing as Bane, but there are so many plot holes in that movie, and I just don't like Christian Bale's Batman. It just doesn't make sense to me. The ending was god awful. The second movie is amazing, but amazing strictly for the performance of Heath Ledger. If not for Heath Ledger, I don't think the movie's that great. So that's why I put it as a good movie, strictly for Heath Ledger. 12 Angry Men. 12 Angry Men is a god tier movie. 12 Angry Men is in my top three as far as greatest movies of all time. 12 Angry Men is one of the very few movies that I have never, anybody who's ever seen that movie, I have never, ever had anyone say that they did not love this movie. I've heard people say they don't love The Godfather. I've heard people say they don't like Goodfellas, Star Wars, Casablanca, Citizen Kane, like any of these like top movies. I've never heard anyone say they don't like 12 Angry Men. 12 Angry Men is absolutely amazing. And actually, it's one of the movies I do want to do like a movie thing on the Discord for. Schindler's List, absolute masterpiece. Absolute masterpiece. The acting performances in this movie, again, Spielberg storytelling. There's really not much to say. Lord of the Rings, which one is this one? See, it's so tiny, I can't even tell. Is this Return of the King? Whatever. I'll just put, I'll just put it under great. The other, yeah, everything. So I was not a fan of Two Towers. That's why I put Two Towers as good. Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is definitely a god tier movie. This movie, I cannot emphasize for you youngins who weren't around when this movie came out, what a big deal this movie was in '94. The previews for this movie were kind of like, huh? What the hell is this? And especially because John Travolta was coming off of just a decade-long run of awful movies. From Staying Alive through Look Who's Talking. John Travolta was just on an epically bad run. So having a movie starring John Travolta was kind of like, yeah. Tarantino at this point was also, aside from Reservoir Dogs, which was more of like a Sundance indie movie type hit, he was not mainstream yet. Samuel L. Jackson, not that big a deal. I mean, and the movie just looked strange and weird to people. But when it came out, absolute game changer. I mean, the influence of Pulp Fiction is really hard to describe nowadays because it is viewed as such a masterpiece. But yeah. So at this point, let me go through some of the comments here. Let's see what people are saying. But before we do that, as always, just asking if you'd like to support the show. Obviously, always appreciate, super chats, whatever it is, but some other ways that you can support the show.
Out the ways to support Teacher Ready. Under each video, join button, YouTube membership, click, select level. In the description, Discord, join, have fun. In the description also, Patreon, click, select level. In the description, donate, PayPal. Merch store, t-shirts. Email addresses in the description, and yes, I know I look like Bert Kreischer.
All right, and here we're back. Let's see, Kiddo01, since Tarantino's Hateful Eight is not on this list. Well, it could be because this is the IMDb 250, so it could be somewhere there. Where do you think you'll put it on here? Hateful Eight, not one of Tarantino's strongest movies. Yeah. Hateful Eight is up there with Jackie Brown as a Tarantino movie that I will probably never watch again. I watched it one time, and that was enough. Whereas Kill Bill, 1 and 2, Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Inglourious Bastards, I mean, those are movies that I can watch repeatedly. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So here we are. We're hitting one of the first Akira Kurosawa ripoffs, but it is still a great movie. Yeah, I would put it as a great movie. It's one of the spaghetti westerns that Clint Eastwood did, and directed by the great Sergio Leone. Sergio Leone, one of the most underappreciated directors of all time. Back to the Future. I mean, what can you say about Back to the Future? I remember when Back to the Future came out, I went to see it in the movie theaters with my grandma. And this movie is everything. Is it God tier? Is it masterpiece? That's a tough one. I mean, the first Back to the Future movie, I think I have to put it God tier. That movie is just so ingrained into society, the story. Michael J. Fox, just absolutely amazing. Christopher Lloyd, just everybody in the movie is amazing. The story, the music. I mean, it's Back to the Future, one of the most quotable movies of all time as well. The Pianist. The Pianist was, again, one of those almost like Oscar bait movies. So a lot of times, when you have a movie about the Holocaust, or you have a movie about slavery, or you have a movie about somebody with disabilities, a lot are great and amazing movies, like Schindler's List, for example. But then you get movies that are okay movies, good movies, but they get elevated in that Oscar discussion because of the theme of the movie. Also, because it's directed by Roman Polanski, and I cannot stand Roman Polanski because I don't support pedophilists. But The Pianist was a good movie. I would say I would put it at okay. It was an okay movie. Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Arguably one of the few movies that was better than the original. Definitely a masterpiece of a movie. Just like Godfather 2, I think is better than Godfather 1. T2, I think is by far better than Terminator. Absolute game changer when it came out, and I think it was 91 when it came out. When we went to the theater to see that movie, we had never seen anything like it before. As far as the effects, the action, I mean, absolutely amazing. American History X. American History X is definitely an amazing movie. Amazing movie. It was that run that Edward Norton had again in the 90s, where a lot of people felt that Edward Norton was on his way to becoming one of those upper echelon, like legendary actors. I remember his debut in Primal Fear with Richard Gere. Good movie, but his performance in that movie was like, oh my God, this kid is gonna be a star. And then he had that amazing run Edward Norton had. American History X, definitely I believe he should have won the Oscar for that one. But then I don't know, something happened with Edward Norton. I mean, I think a lot of people know what happened with Edward Norton. Edward Norton turned out to be a ginormous asshole, and people just didn't want to work with him. That's what happened. So it's kind of sad. He definitely has one of those what could have been careers. Charlie Chaplin in Modern Times is a masterpiece. Modern Times is one of Chaplin's best movies. Just like a lot of Chaplin's movies, it's a critique on society. It's a critique on politics. It's a critique on modern day, at the time, modern day machinery. But mainly it was a critique on factory workers and the conditions they had to work in, about automation, but also, of course, a great comedy as well. Chaplin does not get as much credit as he deserves for the social context of his movies, because they're viewed as comedies, but they were, especially a movie like The Great Dictator, for which Charlie Chaplin was absolutely eviscerated by Hollywood for. Because at the time, they were still kind of unsure about Hitler and everything else. But of course, after, the war broke out, and after, especially after the Holocaust became something that was prevalent and people started, then all of a sudden, Charlie Chaplin is viewed as a hero and a genius and everything else. But definitely recommend, if you have not seen it, check out Modern Times and check out The Great Dictator. We get our first Alfred Hitchcock movie. Hitchcock is also, like I said, during the what was the RB? Spielberg and Hitchcock. And then for some reason, Michael Bay came in and ruined it all. Hitchcock is definitely one of my top three as far as favorite directors go. Hitchcock, Tarantino, Kubrick, those are my top three. Psycho is a masterpiece. When Psycho came out in 1960, it was because Hitchcock had been directing since the 20s. So by 1960 or 61, when this came out, a lot of people had felt, well, Hitchcock, the master of suspense, yeah, but not anymore. There are all these new directors coming out. Hitch has lost his, he's lost his ability. He's getting old. And then he comes out with Psycho and basically just gives a big F.U. to everybody. This movie was so well marketed, so well, people were passing out in the aisles, and Hitchcock was playing it up. He was like, make sure if you have high blood pressure or if you have heart conditions, the Hitchcock way, be careful coming to see this movie. They had doctors on standby in the theater to be like, this movie is like, people are having like heart attacks and passing out. So we have to have doctors on standby in the theaters. Let's see here. Independent outsider, Hitchcock and Capra. Yeah, Frank Capra, absolutely. Frank Capra is a top 10 director. 100%. I mean, we have the term Capra-esque because of Frank Capra. It's a very specific, when you think of a Capra movie, absolutely. My favorite Hitchcock movie will probably be Rear Window, and Rope is up there. I was actually talking to somebody the other day about my favorite Hitchcock movies. Psycho is not my favorite. Rear Window is my favorite, but I also always mention Rope. Rope is such an underrated Hitchcock movie. And also Lifeboat. Lifeboat is another underrated Hitchcock movie. I mean, we all know, Vertigo and The Birds and Psycho and Rear Window, North by Northwest, but movies like Rope, Strangers on a Train is another amazing movie. Hitchcock just has so many great movies. Let's see, what's Gladiator. Gladiator is another movie that I feel when it came out, yeah, it was a big deal when it came out. It came out either 99 or 2000, somewhere around there. And when Gladiator came out, everybody was quoting it. Everybody wanted to be a gladiator. Russell Crowe does give a great performance, but I just feel it's like a movie that became less of a big deal over time. But still, I would say it's a great movie. It's definitely a great movie. Charlie Chaplin, City Lights. City Lights, it's hard not to call every single Chaplin movie a masterpiece, but I have to put City Lights as a masterpiece of a movie. This movie took Chaplin years and years to create because he didn't know, and I don't want to spoil it, even though the movie is almost 100 years old. I'm not going to spoil it, but the ending of the movie, he did not know how to pull it off because it was a silent movie. So without being able to speak, the only thing I'll say is the character is blind. So how do you make her, he needed to make her realize something at the end of the movie. And it took him almost 3 years to figure out the ending. People had told him, just make it a talkie, right? Because talkie movies were already around. Talkie movies have been around for a few years. But he refused. He says the tramp, his character, the tramp, can never speak. That was just one thing that he was vehemently against. He made speaking movie, like The Great Dictator. He speaks in that movie when he's playing the parody of Hitler. But he doesn't speak when he's playing the tramp, right? So City Lights is an absolutely beautiful, beautiful movie. The Departed. The Departed is a tough one because The Departed is a direct remake of a Eastern movie called Infernal Affairs. Even though like it sounds like a comedy, it's not. It's actually an amazing movie. There are multiple series to it. But The Departed is I have to put The Departed as a good movie. Not quite great because of the ending, number one. I hated the ending with the rat on the ledge. But it is a really good movie. And Jack Nicholson shines in this movie. This movie is on my list. I have not seen it yet, so I have to put it under haven't seen. Whiplash, again, at the time it came out, big deal. But really for, a couple of performances, but otherwise it's an okay movie. It's really not something I ever wanted to rewatch. The Prestige, another Chris Nolan movie. Definitely better than Inception. I would put The Prestige as a good movie. Very good movie. Solid movie. Hugh Jackman, is really good in the movie, as well as Christian Bale. This movie, I think it says Grave of Fireflies. I have not seen that. So I'm going to put that under here. I know. I have not seen Hamilton yet. I know people have been telling me I have to see Hamilton. I will. There are just so many other things that I want to see before I see it. This looks really tiny, but based on the image, I believe this is Once Upon a Time in the West. Once Upon a Time in the West is an amazing movie. It's a Sergio Leone movie, but what makes this an amazing movie is it was so shocking at the time it came out. It came out in the late 60s, I believe, either 68, 69, 67, 67, somewhere around there. But aside from having a great cast, being a great Western, it was the first and only time that you saw Henry Fonda play a villain. And the opening scene of that movie, people were not expecting it. It's not like trailers now that give away most of the movie, right? The opening scene, when you realize, because they don't show the face of the bad guy until like the whole like scene is done and you see just all the chaos and death, and the camera pans around and you see it's Henry Fonda. People were blown away. This was America's dad. It'd be like, you have an action movie and there's a villain in it and he's just bringing chaos and murder, and the camera pans around and it's Tom Hanks and you're like, what the hell? Tom Hanks? Why are you ruining my entire childhood? But yeah. Casablanca. Casablanca is a God tier movie. I got to put it right here. Well, actually, let me move 12 Angry Men over here, because these are my top 3 movies of all time. Godfather Part 2, Casablanca, 12 Angry Men. Casablanca, the way I explain Casablanca is, it's not the best directed movie of all time. It's not the best acted movie of all time. It is arguably the best script of all time. It's not the most original story, but all of them are at such high levels that it is just almost, like I said with Godfather 2, close to being a perfect movie. It doesn't blow away in any one category, whether it be acting or cinematography, but it does reach God tier levels on all of them. So Casablanca is definitely a God tier movie. Cinema Paradiso, I never got the appeal of this movie. I know a lot of people like it. It's an okay movie. I don't have much to say about it. Rear Window, we talked about Rear Window. Definitely a masterpiece movie. One of Hitchcock's finest movies. My favorite Hitchcock movie, by far, Rear Window. I'm having a tough time not putting it on God tier, to be honest with you. But I'll leave it as is. Alien. The first Alien movie. Definitely a game changer. I'm not a big fan of Alien. Um, but I don't want to be biased. I will put it under great, even though I don't feel it's great. But out of the respect of what a big deal the movie was, not just for science fiction, but for having a female lead be the hero, right? Sigourney Weaver, even though I'm again not a fan of Sigourney Weaver either, but yeah, but respect. You may, I may not be a fan, but respect. Apocalypse Now. Apocalypse Now is a tough one, man. Apocalypse Now has some amazing scenes. Marlon Brando's final monologue at the end about fear, and horror, the horrors. You have no right to judge me. You have a right to kill me, but you have no right to judge me, is a masterpiece. But overall, the movie is an incoherent mess. I mean, Francis Ford Coppola with the Godfather movies and a couple other movies he made in the 70s. After Apocalypse Now, arguably, he didn't make anything of any significance because I think he really just burned himself out on Apocalypse Now. I mean, he gave Martin Sheen a heart attack during the movie. Martin Sheen almost died making this movie. It's just such a weird movie. It's definitely not God tier masterpiece, but I will put it under amazing. Just for, I mean, there are some scenes. If you take the scenes in the movies, kind of like Full Metal Jacket, right? The first half of the Full Metal Jacket is a masterpiece. Second half of Full Metal Jacket was like, what the hell happened? Did they replace directors? That's how I feel about Apocalypse Now. It's very incoherent. What do we have next? Memento. Memento is a really good movie. It's not a great movie, but it's a good movie just for the originality of the movie, right? Having everything backwards and all that stuff. It's a cool movie. It's a good movie. The Great Dictator we discussed, as far as Charlie Chaplin, definitely a masterpiece. The Great Dictator, for what the torment that Chaplin had to go through in having a hot take on Hitler being a bad guy along with Mussolini. But the movie is also hilarious. The Globe scene with him parodying Hitler and playing with the Globe. The barbershop scenes, but of course the final speech in The Great Dictator. If you've not seen it yet, just absolutely beautiful. I did a live reaction to it. People were in tears. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Raiders of the Lost Ark is ooh. So I put it as a masterpiece. Raiders of the Lost Ark is, I'll put it under amazing. I don't feel it's a masterpiece. Masterpiece is just something a little kind of like elevated. But it is an amazing movie. Hey, I put it up there with Star Wars, so you can't complain because I am a Star Wars fanatic. But the first Indiana Jones movie is obviously an all-time classic. What do we have next? Django. Tarantino. My big gripe with Django is I just didn't get Jamie Foxx in the lead. If it was somebody else, except for Jamie Foxx, just couldn't carry it for me. Jamie Foxx was another one, kind of like Cuba Gooding Jr., or like I said, Edward Norton, where they had a really strong run for a few years, but then it was just kind of like it just fizzled out, like they couldn't carry it. And Jamie Foxx was one of those. I mean, when the movie Ray came out, like people were in absolute awe. But if you really look at the movie Ray, it's not as much that Jamie Foxx gives a great performance, but gives a great imitation of Ray Charles. Not to say he's a bad actor, he's a very good actor, but I just felt with the rest of the cast, with Leonardo DiCaprio, I forget the other guy's name. I should be ashamed of myself. Um, Oh God, I can't remember his name. Somebody will remind me in the chat. But the guy who was in Inglorious Bastards and won Best Supporting Actor. I just felt like Jamie Foxx just didn't belong, right, on that level. Even with like somebody like Samuel L. Jackson, like he just didn't fit. And for that, even though it's a great movie and it could have been so much better, I just gotta put it at. This is hard for a Tarantino movie to put it as just a good movie, but I gotta. It's a good movie. It could have been. Christoph Waltz, thank you so much. But yeah. I wouldn't think you'd expect Will Smith playing Django, right? Will Smith was a choice. But yeah. Will Smith, I don't know. I don't think Will Smith could have pulled it off either. Let's see. Das Leben der Anderen. I have no clue what this is, so I'm putting this under haven't watched. Joker. Oh boy. I'm gonna have to light up for this one. Joker. Performance of a lifetime from Joaquin Phoenix. My biggest issue is the fact that the story bit off so hard from King of Comedy, because I just felt like I was watching King of Comedy all over again. It's just the story was so unoriginal for me, but based on Joaquin Phoenix's performance, I have to put it as a good movie just based on his performance. I did not like the story of the movie. It was just too derivative of Scorsese's previous own work, which was The King of Comedy. Paths of Glory, a great war movie starring Kirk Douglas. I have to put it as great. Great movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely recommend it. Wall-E. Wall-E was a good movie. It wasn't great. It was very good. It was not a movie for me personally that I wanted to watch a second time, though. But I did enjoy Wall-E the first time I saw it. What's next? The Shining. So The Shining is a tough one because it's such an iconic performance by Nicholson. And there's so many iconic scenes in the movie. It's not an amazing movie. It's definitely either great or good. But The Shining, I have to put as a great movie. Because of Nicholson's performance, because of some of the iconic scenes, because it's Kubrick. Even though I know Stephen King does not like the movie, but it is what it is. Avengers Infinity War. It is no secret that I loved Infinity War more than I loved Endgame. Even though Endgame's an amazing movie. I'm not saying Endgame was bad, but Infinity War was definitely the Empire Strikes Back of the MCU. So I got to put it on par with Empire Strikes Back. It's an amazing movie. Absolutely amazing movie. Having the bad guy win at the end. Just all the emotions, everything. Amazing movie. Sunset Boulevard. Sunset Boulevard is a masterpiece of a movie. One of the greatest movies ever. One of the greatest endings ever. One of the greatest actresses in one of the greatest roles ever. Sunset Boulevard is definitely one of those 50s classics that I recommend seeing. Witness for the Prosecution. Oh, Charles Lawton in this movie is so amazing. It's a courtroom drama, and it's one of Charles Lawton's final, big, great performances. This is a great movie. One of the best courtroom dramas of all times. If you've not seen it, Tyrone Power is absolutely amazing. Marlene Dietrich is amazing, but Charles Lawton carries this movie big time. Big time. Let's see. What do we have next? Old Boy. Old Boy is a good movie. The story, obviously, now we're talking about the original Old Boy, not the remake, the American version, which was very much bastardized. The original Old Boy is a really good movie. Um, I mean, yeah, the ending is kind of twisted. Not kind of, the ending is very twisted. But number one, that corridor fight scene alone makes it a good movie. Old Boy was really, really good. Princess Mononoke, yep, haven't seen it. That goes under haven't seen. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Ooh, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was well, I gotta put it on the same tier as I did the Avengers, because it, along with the Avengers, Infinity War, it was one of the best movies ever. I think somebody asked me what is the greatest animated movie of all time. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Like, not even a competition for me. Definitely Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Let's see, what do we have next? Oh, Doctor Strangelove. Doctor Strangelove is definitely God tier. Definitely my top 5. One of the greatest dark comedies of all time. One of the greatest multiple acting performances by Peter Sellers, who plays 3 characters in this movie. George C. Scott is amazing, like over the top in this movie. Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room. Peter Sellers at the end actually playing the titular character, Dr. Strangelove. Of course, the critique of, the madness of mutually assured destruction, the Cold War, coming out right around after the Bay of Pigs fiasco, the Cuban Missile Crisis. Just a masterpiece of a movie. It is so god tier. The Dark Knight Rises, I have no friggin' clue why this is on here. Based on Tom Hardy alone, it gets an okay from me. But Dark Knight Rises doesn't belong here. Once Upon a Time in America, I recognize it just by the poster. Once Upon a Time in America is one of those lost gangster movies from the 80s, which is, again, on par with a Goodfellas or a Godfather as an absolute masterpiece of a movie. I know why a lot of people don't watch it, because it is a very long movie. When it first came out, it was well over 4 hours long. And when they asked Sergio Leone to make it shorter so audiences could actually watch it, and they butchered it into like a 2.5 hour movie, and the movie made no sense whatsoever. It is a very grimy movie. Some scenes are very difficult to watch, but it is a masterpiece with Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, James Woods. I mean, the list goes on, and directed by one of the greatest directors ever. It is not God tier, but it is a masterpiece of a movie. Absolute masterpiece of a movie. Did I put it up there? Somewhere there. Did I? Oh, well. Anyway, masterpiece. Let's see here. Oh, no. No, it's not a shit movie. What are you talking about? Masterpiece. There we go. I was wondering, like, where the hell they go? Aliens. Again, one of those movies that the sequel is arguably better than the original. So Aliens, again, out of the respect, even though not a fan of the series, I have to put it as a great movie. Your Name. I have not seen this. Avengers Endgame. Great, 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 great movie. Gonna put it as a great movie. It's not an amazing movie as Infinity War was, but Endgame was great. Coco. These Pixar movies, I mean, I get it. Uh-oh, Jacob's coming over.
What did I just hear?
Coco. Where should Coco go?
What is it?
We have God tier, masterpiece, amazing, great, good, okay, bad, poop.
I don't know. Well, we have watched it.
Yeah, we watched Coco. Where should I put Coco?
I think it's a good movie.
Good?
Yeah, it should go.
I agree. Coco goes under good.
It's not a great movie.
It's not a great movie. It's a good movie. Absolutely. All right. I need to take a pee-pee break. I'll be back in a few. So hang tight, people. All right, and we're back. Let's see some of the comments here. Old Boy is better than Parasite. Do you agree? From Kiddo01. Absolutely. Old Boy, I do believe was better than Parasite. Parasite was good throughout, but definitely the second half of the movie was much better than the first half, whereas Old Boy definitely keeps it going throughout the whole movie. Teacher Eddie, have you seen Avatar: The Last Airbender? Yes, I have. I did like it. Let's see. Kubrick treated Shelley Duvall like trash in The Shining. Yes, he did. Definitely. 100%. Spider-Verse can tie Infinity War. Absolutely. They're stealing pure bodily fluids. Yes. General Jack D. Ripper, played brilliantly by Sterling Hayden, another forgotten actor. Sterling Hayden was such an amazing, amazing actor. Yeah. Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room. Let's see. Worst sequel ever, Godfather 3. Worst sequel? No, I mean, there are definitely much worse sequels. And Godfather 3 was just such a huge disappointment because Paramount Pictures rushed the movie for whatever reason. The movie came out in 1990, which was 16 years after Godfather 2. But for whatever reason, they wanted to rush the release of the movie. And Paramount Pictures did not want to pay Robert Duvall the money he wanted, which was absolutely fair what he was asking for. And they ruined what could have been a masterpiece of a movie by having the final chapter being the two remaining brothers on polar opposite sides, basically battling it out for, control of the family. It could have been a masterpiece. But there are plenty of, Superman 3, Superman 4, Back to the Future 3. I am not a huge fan of Back to the Future 3. Rocky 5. I mean, there's so many terrible sequels out there. But anyway, getting back to the list, The Bicycle Thief. The Bicycle Thief, oh, I dropped it somewhere. Where'd I drop The Bicycle Thief? Where'd I drop it? I lost it. Where's The Bicycle Thief? Well, I don't see it. But The Bicycle Thief, I would definitely put as a great movie. It's a foreign movie, so obviously there's subtitles and all that jazz, but definitely a good movie. Singing in the Rain. Singing in the Rain is one of the best musicals of all time. I would have to put Singing in the Rain under the category of good. It's not great. It's not a great movie, but some of the dance sequences are absolutely amazing in that movie. Charlie Chaplin, the Kid, Chaplin's one of Chaplin's first big, full feature movies, along with The Gold Rush. It's not a God tier movie. It's not a masterpiece, but it is an amazing movie. So it's the first Chaplin movie I'm putting not in the masterpiece section. Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. Clockwork Orange is amazing or a masterpiece? I have to put it as a masterpiece. Clockwork Orange is an absolute just masterpiece of a movie, from the story, the acting, Malcolm McDowell, the music, the direction, absolute masterpiece. North by Northwest. Again, I don't see the titles of the movies, but it's just I can recognize most movies just by the posters. North by Northwest is another Hitchcock movie starring Cary Grant. Not, in my opinion, one of Hitchcock's best movies. It just has a very famous scene in the movie, and again, I dropped it somewhere because my mouse is not cooperating. But I would put North by Northwest under the, even though it's a Hitchcock movie, I would put it under good. But again, I dropped it somewhere. I don't know where the hell I'm dropping some of these movies. Snatch! Oh, Snatch is such a good movie. Such a good movie. It's a good movie. It's not one of the greatest movies ever, but it is such an entertaining movie to watch, especially with Brad Pitt. I love Brad Pitt in this movie. As a Romani, again, please don't call them gypsies. It's not politically correct. Scarface. Okay. Scarface. So I have to say this. I have a huge bias when it comes to Scarface. Scarface is definitely in my top 10. As far as movies I've watched the most amount of times, I think it is not even close. I think I wore out like 3 different VHS tapes watching Scarface so much. And I have like 5 DVDs of it. I even have the laser disc. But it is definitely not a God tier movie. It is not a masterpiece of a movie. But it is an amazing movie. I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but I just have a soft spot. I mean, Scarface. Oh, there's The Bicycle Thief. Okay, so I said, yeah, Bicycle Thief goes under good. And I think there is the North by Northwest, good. Taxi Driver. Taxi Driver is God tier, man. Taxi Driver, again, Martin Scorsese. That 70s run that De Niro had with Mean Streets, Godfather 2, Taxi Driver, and then ending it in 1980 with his second Academy Award for Raging Bull. That 8-year stretch that De Niro had, one of the greatest stretches in Hollywood history, and Taxi Driver is an absolute God tier movie. Ikiru, it was a good movie. Yeah, it was a good movie. I don't have much to say about it. Amelie, I saw Amelie when it originally came out, and I liked it. I liked Amelie. I know it was a big deal for a lot of people, but for me, it was just a good movie. Lawrence of Arabia. Oh, Lawrence of Arabia is an absolute God tier movie. Peter O'Toole's performance in this movie is nothing short of majestic, tour de force, whatever you want to call it. It is such an epic movie, you know, by the very definition of the word epic. Lawrence of Arabia, that is God tier. Toy Story, which one is this? Toy Story, it's cut off. I think it's Toy Story 2. Again, with the Pixar movies, Toy Story 2, I have a soft spot for the Toy Story movies. Good or great? Good. It was a good movie. The Sting. The Sting is a classic movie. That combination, definitely a great movie. I have to put that under great. The Sting won Best Picture. I believe it was 1973. It's one of those teamings with Paul Newman and Robert Redford. Redford and Newman were in the 70s and the 60s. You know, my favorite is still Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. But absolutely amazing. Metropolis. by Fritz Lang was a landmark of a movie. It's an okay movie, but more its contribution to history gets it put under great for me. A Separation I have not seen. I also have not seen this movie, and I have no clue what this movie is based on the poster. For a few dollars more. So spaghetti western, Clint Eastwood, for a few dollars more. Based off for a fistful of dollars, few dollars more, based off of Yojimbo and Sanjuro with Toshiro Mifune, both Akira Kurosawa movies. It is a great movie, though. Even though it's a remake, great movie. American Beauty, I did not see the big deal with this movie when it came out. So many people were in love with this movie. I didn't get it, man. I just didn't get it. I'm not saying it was a bad movie, but I'm just gonna put it as okay. And Braveheart. Braveheart is one of the most overrated movies of all time, in my opinion. I know a lot of people love Braveheart, but for the historical inaccuracies alone, and it just hasn't aged well for me. Again, not a bad movie, but I got to put it under okay. Das Boot. Das Boot is a great movie. A very great movie. One of the best submarine movies ever. Great movie. Three Idiots is on my list, but I have not seen it yet. The original Toy Story, yes, that goes under amazing. The first Toy Story was absolutely amazing. Let's see. High and Low. Okay. It is an okay movie. I don't know why it's on here. Capernaum, I have not seen. Amadeus. Now, Amadeus is it God tier or it's God tier. Amadeus is just one of the most amazing movies ever made. The acting performances are through the roof, especially F. Murray Abraham as Antonio Salieri. The direction, the authenticity of the settings, not the story, of course. The story is absolutely, false. Salieri never tried to murder Mozart, but the movie never claimed to be a historically accurate depiction. It was based on the play. But there's not enough I could say about Amadeus. Amadeus, absolutely amazing. Definitely God tier. Let's see. Eddie, can you post a link to this list when you are done in the Discord? Yes, I'm going to be able to save this list on the website. I will definitely post it. Spider-Man 3 was okay on its own. Still Godfather 3, in my honest opinion, better as a sequel. Godfather 3 on its own, I agree. It's just when you compare it to two of not two great movies, but two movies that are arguably in everybody's like top 5 when they're ranking movies, both Godfather 1 and 2. I mean, 3 just doesn't even compare. I mean, that's the thing. Let's see. Next on our list is Inglourious Bastards. In my opinion, definitely one of Tarantino's best. I have to put it under masterpiece. I think it's definitely one of Tarantino's best. It is an absolute masterpiece of a movie. Return of the Jedi, from the original Holy Trinity. Let's say I put Empire and Star Wars as amazing. So Return has to go under great or good. I'll leave it under great. Like Stars on Earth was a cute movie. I think a little, again, I would just put it under good. I don't have much to say about it. Good Will Hunting, great movie. Great movie. Damon and Affleck definitely deserve the Oscar for the screenplay. Robin Williams deserved that Best Supporting Actor Oscar. It is just an emotional movie, but at the same time, a funny movie in certain parts. Just a very well-made movie. Yes, Jacob, you'd like to add something?
I was gonna ask, like, what would you put, not, Toy Story 3 under?
Well, we haven't gotten to Toy Story 3
Oh,
yet.
wait, they have?
I don't know. Reservoir Dogs. Reservoir Dogs, Quentin Tarantino's first directorial debut. I have to put it under... It's not quite a masterpiece. It's early Tarantino, although I kind of want to put it under masterpiece, but I'll leave it under amazing. And I definitely think as Reservoir Dogs, after Reservoir Dogs, which comes out in 90, I want to say 92, and it becomes, again, a big indie hit. And Tarantino has two scripts that he's written. One of them is True Romance, and the other one is Pulp Fiction. And he insisted on directing them both. But the studio said, you can only choose one. And he chose Pulp Fiction, and he definitely chose correctly, even though True Romance is still an amazing movie. Without Tarantino behind the director's chair for Pulp Fiction, it is not the same. 2001 Space Odyssey, that's not even a question. God tier movie. One of the greatest science fiction movies of all time. The special effects, even though it's from 1960, it's either 68 or 69, still hold up to this day. The story, absolutely amazing. The HAL 9000, still one of the greatest villains of all time. Just 2001 is, yeah, not even a discussion. Requiem for a Dream, actually filmed in my neighborhood on Brighton Beach in Coney Island. Requiem, one of Aronofsky's better movies. I'll put it under great. It's a great, great movie. It's a tough watch, but a great movie. Then we have Vertigo, of course, one of my favorite movie posters of all time as well. Vertigo, definitely a masterpiece as far as Hitchcock goes. One of Jimmy Stewart's best acting performances. Just an amazing movie. Fritz Lang's M, starring Peter Lorre. This was actually, I remember when I first got my very first DVD player, I want to say it was around 94 or 95. The first two movies I bought on DVD were Scarface, of course, and M. So those were the first two movies that I bought at Suncoast Video, if anyone remembers Suncoast. M is a masterpiece of a movie. If you haven't seen M, again, it's a foreign movie with Peter Lorre, very, very famous actor, but great movie. Eternal Sunshine. I know a lot of people love Eternal Sunshine. I'll put it as a great movie. It's a great movie. I honestly am not a fan of it. I liked it a lot, but I don't see it as high as some other people do. But I'll put it under great. I'm a big fan of Mads Mikkelsen, but I have not seen this movie yet. And I have not seen Dangal. Never even heard of it, actually. Citizen Kane. Citizen Kane is a masterpiece. Arguably, most people always put it at either number 1, 2, or 3 on the greatest movies of all time list. But it's not a God tier movie for me for a number of reasons. The influence of Citizen Kane, the influence of Orson Welles' direction in the movie, the influence of what is now commonplace in movie creation, whether it be camera angles, whether it be deep focus, just everything that Welles pioneered in this movie is much bigger than the actual movie itself. But the movie is still a great movie. Absolutely amazing movie. And if anybody knows the history of the movie, it was a tough movie for Wells to get done because he was taking on arguably one of the most, if not most powerful men in the country, William Randolph Hearst, by basically critiquing, parodying, and shitting on his personal life in this movie. All right. Moving on. 1917. I saw the movie. The technical achievements of the movie were amazing, but the movie itself, just good. I didn't think it was that big a deal. Full Metal Jacket. Not quite masterpiece because of the second half of the movie, like I mentioned before. First half of the movie, definitely masterpiece. Second half of the movie, more good. So kind of splitting it in the middle here. Let's see. Okay. Next, what do we have next? The Apartment. The Apartment is a really good movie with Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine. Yeah, well, that was my initial response. It's a great movie. It is a great movie. Double Indemnity. Double Indemnity is definitely not God tier, but masterpiece. Just a really great movie. One of the best film noir movies ever made. If you're into film noir and the classic detective type movies, definitely Double Indemnity. To Kill a Mockingbird. To Kill a Mockingbird is a God tier movie. To Kill a Mockingbird is arguably, for me, the greatest American novel ever written is To Kill a Mockingbird. And the movie definitely does the book justice. Gregory Peck's performance in this is something that has affected so many people who have gone into industries to help people, including myself, in becoming a teacher, lawyers. Atticus Finch is definitely one of the greatest literary and film characters of all time. There's not enough you could say about To Kill a Mockingbird. Up, just for the first 10 minutes alone, I want to put it as a shit movie because it tears my soul out watching the first 10 minutes of Up. Otherwise, Up is it is one of my favorite Pixar movies, so I'm putting it in the great category. But goddamn those first 10 minutes. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is my favorite Indiana Jones movie. Just Harrison Ford and Sean Connery, I mean, masterpiece may be too much, but definitely amazing. It's an amazing movie. Let's see. Heat. Oh, Heat. Oh, Heat. Heat is a masterpiece. Heat is an absolute masterpiece. It lived up to all the hype. People have been waiting for 2 decades to see Al Pacino and Robert De Niro share the screen. Previously, De Niro and Pacino were in the same movie, Godfather 2. They just never shared scenes in the movie because De Niro played Pacino's father in the flashback scenes, Vito Corleone. So obviously they couldn't share the screen. But Heat was the first time that finally Pacino and De Niro are in the same movie, but sharing the screen as well. I think it's one of Val Kilmer's best performances after Tombstone. Just everybody, all the role-playing characters, all the that guy characters, everybody's on point with this movie. The action scenes are amazing. The tenseness of the movie is palpable, and not one of the greatest like bank robbery / shootouts in movie history. Heat is a masterpiece of a movie. LA Confidential, when it came out, was a very big deal. Again, that Kevin Spacey run, but also what's his name? Oh God, Gladiator. What's Gladiator dude's name? Why am I forgetting it? Kim Basinger wins her one and only Oscar for this movie, but LA Confidential, I have to put as a great movie. It is still a great movie to watch. Uh, Die Hard. Holy shit. Die Hard just on personal. Uh, I want to put it on God tier so bad. Well, it accidentally fell. Oh, whoops. Die Hard fell into God tier levels, so I gotta leave it there. Sorry. It's Die Hard. Come on, man. It's Die Hard. It's got, forget Bruce Willis, Hans Gruber, man. Hans Gruber is one of the greatest villains of all time. It is such a great movie. It's such a quotable movie. It set the archetype to get away from all of those 80s tropes of, leading action stars have to be these hulking, big, muscle-bound guys like Schwarzenegger, like Stallone, like Dolph Lundgren, where you just had an average dude like Bruce Willis. And that paved the way for in the 90s to get, and even to today, to have somebody like Keanu Reeves be in the Matrix. That's all really owed to Bruce Willis in Die Hard and the amazing job that he does with it. Okay, fine. I'll put it in under masterpiece. I mean, it's Die Hard, the greatest Christmas movie of all time. Hot take. Yeah, I'm going to get some flack for this one. I'm not a fan of Monty Python. I don't get it. I mean, I get it, but I don't get why people find it funny. I'm more of a Benny Hill man, but out of respect, I'll put it under great. But no. Then we have back-to-back Kurosawa movies, Akira Kurosawa. We have Rashomon, and this is either Sanjuro or Yojimbo. I want to say this is Yojimbo, but Rashomon is definitely masterpiece. And Yojimbo, also masterpiece. Absolute masterpieces of movies. One of the greatest samurai movies of all time. If you haven't seen it, please see it. Batman Begins, again, like I said, okay at best. Just okay. The Green Book. This is a tough one because Green Book is between Mahershala Ali and Viggo Mortensen. Their performances in this movie is just watching the two of them is so much fun because they are so just amazing high-level actors. But the movie is definitely not a masterpiece. It's not amazing. It's a great movie because the way they shot, well, not the way they tell the story of the movie bothered me because it was almost like one of those hey, I got a black friend, so obviously I understand the black dysphoria. So let me make a movie to show how cool I am with all the brothers. Just that one scene with Viggo Mortensen trying to teach a black man how to eat fried chicken, it was a little too on the nose for me. Downfall is a masterpiece. Downfall, if you've not seen Downfall, it is about the last days of World War II, specifically the last days of Hitler in the bunker during World War II. The gentleman who played Hitler, I believe his name is Bruno Ganz, and all of those, the viral videos that you had, like Hitler reacts to the ending of Game of Thrones, that scene is from this movie, Downfall. The movie is an absolute masterpiece. Children of Heaven, great movie, but not much to say about it. Unforgiven, masterpiece, yes. Unforgiven is definitely a masterpiece. Where did I drop Unforgiven? It's somewhere. There it is. Unforgiven, absolute masterpiece of a movie. Like they should have stopped making westerns after this. Having Clint Eastwood direct it, star in it, was just the perfect, book closed, the end for the great westerns. Gene Hackman, just as Curly Bill, just stole this movie for me. But Morgan Freeman was amazing. Masterpiece of a movie. I don't know what this is. I have an idea of what it may be, but I am not sure. So I'm just going to leave it under haven't watched. But this is definitely a Kurosawa movie. I'm just not sure which one it is. Some Like It Hot. Some Like It Hot is a good movie. It's a fun movie. Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon are great in the movie. Marilyn Monroe is fun in the movie, but there's nothing super special about the movie. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. Let's see. Next is Howl's Moving Castle. I have not seen. A Beautiful Mind. A Beautiful Mind. I think it's a bad movie. I know Russell Crowe won the Oscar for it, but the movie itself is not good. I don't understand. I understand why people, like, at the time when it came out, again, playing somebody with a disability, but I don't know what Ron Howard was thinking with this movie. And also it's celebrating someone who should not be celebrated, in my opinion. Did not like the movie. All About Eve, God level. This is a God level movie. Bette Davis's finest acting performance. One of the greatest written movies of all time. One of the greatest scripts of all time. If you haven't seen All About Eve, see it. You will not regret it. Casino. I remember when Casino came out, it got a lot of flack because it was so close to when Goodfellas came out. And when people saw, oh, gangster movie, De Niro, Pesci, oh, it's Goodfellas all over again, when actually it's a completely different movie. Like, not even close. It's a great story. It's a great story of Vegas. It really captures the era well. It is definitely nothing like Goodfellas, except for they're both gangster movies. Is it as great as Goodfellas? No. But it's an amazing movie. The Great Escape. The Great Escape is a great movie. It's about a World War II POW camp. Amazing cast: Steve McQueen, Charles Bronson, and it's basically about the Great Escape. They try to escape the POW camp, and you get the famous scene of Steve McQueen on the motorbike, hopping the fence. It's a great movie. Great movie. Wolf of Wall Street, that's a tough one for me. Wolf of Wall Street was definitely one of those movies that could have been much shorter, but it's so over the top, but it should be over the top because of the era it takes place in, because of the subject matter. It's definitely cocaine on film, as well as it should be. I think it is one of Scorsese's better late generation movies. I'll put it down as a great movie. Let me see. Let me check in with the comments. Let's see here. Going back here. Of course, The Man Who Would Be King is great. Maybe Houston's Best. Ooh. John Huston's Best would definitely be either Treasure of the Sierra Madre, Maltese Falcon, or Chinatown. Reservoir Dogs, the best robbery movie that doesn't involve the robbery. Fun fact. There is a movie with Sterling Hayden, which is basically, it came out in the 50s, and it's a movie with Sterling Hayden, and The Killing. The Killing is the name of the movie, and it's basically Reservoir Dogs. If you watch the movie, it's Reservoir Dogs. Amazing heist movie, but you never see the robbery. So I definitely recommend, if you've never seen The Killing, see it. If you enjoyed Reservoir Dogs, it's a Stanley Kubrick movie, by the way, as well, starring Sterling Hayden. But it's one of Kubrick's either very first movies or his very, very first movie. Correction, Chinatown is Houston's Best. There you go. I like Lucky Number 11. Yeah, but that's definitely not a top 250 movie. Let's see. Accidentally, Yippee-Ki-Yay. Yes. The Green Book, I think, is one of the last movies that I thought deserved an Oscar. Definitely. Teacher Eddie, former Kurosawa movie was Seppuku. Was it Seppuku? I'm not sure. I am not sure. How can you have Amadeus and God Tier but not Shawshank? Simple. Amadeus is a much better movie. Again, but this is all my opinion. Let's see. Victor, what's up, Eddie? What's up, Victor? And Scottish Gamers, thank you so much, buddy. Really appreciate that. Best Western ever is Tombstone. Definitely. Top 3 for me, Tombstone. But I have a soft spot for The Searchers with John Wayne, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance with Lee Marvin, John Wayne, and Jimmy Stewart. Eddie, 3 movies older than you that you think deserve a remake. I'm going to have to think about that one. That's a tough one. Pan's Labyrinth. Pan's Labyrinth, I thought was extremely overrated. It was an okay movie. I didn't see the big deal. This one I did not see. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Definitely not as good as Snatch, but still a good movie. Snatch was infinitely better. There Will Be Blood. There Will Be Blood is a masterpiece. Just Daniel Day-Lewis's performance alone in There Will Be Blood is masterpiece. But the movie's good as well, too. Raging Bull. Raging Bull. Wait, I think I saw Ken. Ken, you in here? Raging Bull. You call those carrots? You call those carrots? Did you eat them? I got no choice. Raging Bull is definitely God tier. It's like not even a question. My Neighbor Totoro. Have not seen it. I can't make out what this movie is, but I think it's Judgment in Nuremberg, because I see Spencer Tracy right here, and I see Montgomery Clift. So I think this is Judgment in Nuremberg. Judgment in Nuremberg is a tough watch, but it's an amazing movie. Absolutely amazing movie. Probably one of the greatest casts of all time. Spencer Tracy, Maximilian Schell, Montgomery Clift, Burt Lancaster. Just absolutely phenomenal movie. It's about the Nuremberg trials after World War II, when whatever Nazis they did catch, they put on trial. Next, we have The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Again, speaking of John Huston, one of John Huston's finest movies, starring Humphrey Bogart and John Huston's father, Walter Huston. It is an absolute masterpiece of a movie. Just amazing movie. Ananan, I have not seen. Dial M for Murder. Not one of Hitchcock's best movies. I find it strange that it's up here. Again, ahead of movies like Lifeboat and Rope. Dial M for Murder was a good movie. It was not one of Hitchcock's best. 3 Billboards. Did not like it that much. It was okay. It could just be the bias I have. I'm not a big fan of Frances McDormand. I'm just not a fan of her. Chinatown. Chinatown is absolute god level. Just an amazing movie. One of the greatest movies of all time. One of the greatest performances ever. John Huston actually in the movie, along with his daughter Angelica Huston. Just an absolute amazing movie. The Gold Rush, one of Chaplin's first big, huge full feature length movies. Absolute masterpiece of a movie. Shutter Island. I don't get the big deal with Shutter Island. It was okay. It was an interesting thriller when it came out. Again, you get Scorsese teaming up with DiCaprio. It was an okay movie, but I don't see why it's on here. It's another foreign movie I haven't seen. No Country for Old Men. Coen brothers, man. This is actually, I think, the first Coen brothers movie on this list, which is surprising. Not quite a masterpiece, but definitely an amazing movie. V for Vendetta. I have not seen that in a while. Not a masterpiece, but an amazing movie. Absolutely amazing movie. What do we have? The Seventh Seal. The Seventh Seal is a masterpiece of a movie. It is about a man pondering life while playing chess with the Grim Reaper. It is an absolute masterpiece of a movie. Inside Out? Really? Inside Out? Oh, come on, man. All right, I'll put it under good, but really? Warrior? How the hell is Warrior on this list? Why? Warrior was an okay movie, but really? Top 250? Elephant Man? Definitely Elephant Man is an amazing movie. One of the best movies of the 80s. There weren't a lot of great movies in the 80s, but definitely one of the better movies of the 80s. John Carpenter's The Thing. A great movie. Great movie. The Sixth Sense. The Sixth Sense. This is an interesting one. Definitely, put M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong on the map. Gave Bruce Willis a huge resurgence. Put Haley Joel Osment, whatever. Put him on the map. The twist ending. The quotables. Is it a masterpiece? Or is it just an amazing movie? I'll put it under amazing. It is an amazing movie. Trainspotting. Trainspotting is a classic. It's not a masterpiece. Trainspotting goes under great. Jurassic Park. Honestly, just not a huge fan of Jurassic Park. The acting, not the acting as much as the actors in the movie just really didn't capture my attention. I was just there for the dinosaurs, man. It just wasn't enough dinosaurs. I put Jurassic as a good movie. I don't know. That's my hot take on that one. Let's see, Teacher Eddie. If Raging Bull is God tier, then there has to be a tier above God for Rocky. No. I mean, Rocky is one of the greatest movies of all time. Rocky won an Academy Award for Best Picture. Separating Rocky 1 from all the other Rocky movies, which you have to, because Rocky 1 is a masterpiece of a movie, but to say that Rocky is a better movie than Raging Bull, absolutely not. I can't sign off on that one. All right. I'm starting to lose my voice here, but we're getting into the final stretch. Gone with the Wind is one of those movies I think that more people talk about than than people have actually seen. Number one, extremely tough watch because it is such a long movie. I only got through it one time, never wanted to rewatch it again, but it is an amazing movie. It is an absolute amazing movie. But people who put it in the top 10 of greatest movies of all time, I don't agree. I really don't agree. I think it's one of those movies that more people just kind of like, because they hear about it so much, they kind of throw it in there. But I bet if you actually polled those people and asked how many of them actually watched it, I don't think most of them actually watched it. The Truman Show, original concept, good movie. Finding Nemo. Again, with the animated movies, it's a good movie. Finding Nemo. Not much else I could say about it. The Wild Strawberries. The Wild Strawberries, I do have to put under amazing. It is an amazing movie, absolutely. Blade Runner. I am not a big fan of Blade Runner. Definitely, if you do watch Blade Runner, watch the director's cut because it actually makes sense. Not Harrison Ford's best performance. Ridley Scott does a good job with creating the scenery, but the movie is carried by Rutger Hauer's performance. Rutger Hauer gives an amazing performance, and just for that, I would put it as a good movie. I think Blade Runner is extremely, extremely overrated. What is this? I can't see what this is. I am not sure what this movie is because I can't see the title. So I just have to put it. Kill Bill. Kill Bill is my favorite Tarantino movie. I'm not going to put it in God tier because I don't want to play favorites, but Kill Bill is a masterpiece, as well as Kill Bill 2. I have a preference actually for Kill Bill 2. Surprisingly, Kill Bill 2 is not here. Wow. Okay. Let's see. This is, even though it's cut off, I know this is Bridge Over the River Kwai. Amazing movie. Great war movie. One of the best endings ever. Let's see. Room. That's all I can make out. I have not seen that. Memoirs of a Murder. Not quite amazing, but definitely a great movie. I won't say much, not to spoil it. Fargo. Again, Coen Brothers. I'm surprised at the lack of Coen Brothers on here. Fargo. I'm surprised. I'm going to have to take a look if the Big Lebowski's on this. Fargo is a masterpiece of a movie. Easily. But is the Big Lebowski anywhere here? I don't think I see it. Oh, I am surprised the Big Lebowski's not here. This movie I have not seen. Gran Torino. Gran Torino was, aside from Get Off My Lawn, I don't remember shit about this movie. Like, I did not like it. That's a bad movie. Did not like it. The Third Man. Third Man is definitely a masterpiece of a movie. It stars Joseph Cotten and Orson Welles. It's not directed by Welles, but Orson Welles actually gives an amazing performance in this movie. It is a masterpiece. I'm actually surprised also. There's a lot of movies that are missing from this list that are like really surprising. Let's see. On the Waterfront. On the Waterfront, one of Brando's best, along with Streetcar. Masterpiece of a movie for sure. Have not seen this movie. Deer Hunter is tough, man. Michael Cimino famously, after creating this movie, because he was so hot, he won Best Director, won Best Picture, and then Michael Cimino goes on to create the biggest disaster of a movie of all time. It is definitely one of those movies that you watch once and you are not going to watch again. Not because it's bad. It's just so emotionally draining and physically draining to watch. But Deer Hunter is not quite a masterpiece, but an amazing movie, yes. Klaus. Yeah, the animated stuff, like I said, it was good. In the Name of the Father, very surprising that this is on here. It was an okay movie. Yeah, I know it's Daniel Day-Lewis, and it is it's an okay movie, but top 250, no. Marion Max, also okay. Like, now we're getting to kind of like the bottom of the barrel here, but there's so many other great movies that could have and should have been on here. Gone Girl, again, good. I can't quite make out what this is. Is that Birth of a Nation? What is this? I really can't. Oh, Grand Hotel. That's what this is. Grand Hotel is actually a great movie. It's one of the early. This Grand Hotel, I think, came out in 1932. It was one of those like Ocean's 11 type things where they got all these big name actors at the time into one movie. Grand Hotel is an amazing movie. Hacksaw Ridge, another one, doesn't really belong here. It was a good movie. It was a good war movie, but you know. Okay, Before Sunrise. So here is again, this series does not get as much credit as it deserves. Before Sunrise, and again, I am not a big fan of Ethan Hawke, but I love these movies. I'll put it under great. Great movie. Catch Me If You Can. Really fun movie. Hanks and DiCaprio obviously have a great time. It's a great movie. It is a great movie. It's very fun to watch. This movie I have not seen. Oh, there's The Big Lebowski. Okay, Big Lebowski definitely is amazing. I can't put it under masterpiece. It's not a masterpiece of it's an amazing movie though. Let's see. Ingmar Bergman's Persona. Very artsy movie, but not one of Bergman's best. But it's Bergman. You got to put her under great. Let's see. All right, trying to finish out the home stretch because I'm losing my voice at this point. How long have I been streaming already? Hold on. I've been streaming for. Oh, it's not even telling me. Oh, 2 hours. Jesus. All right. Let's try to get through this before I lose my entire voice. This can't tell what this is. Again, what this does not belong. It was an okay movie. Yeah. To Be or Not to Be is a great comedy. Poking fun at Hitler. Great. Yeah, To Be or Not to Be goes under great. Buster Keaton as Sherlock Jr. Amazing silent era movie. Goes under great. This I have not seen and I have not heard of. Buster Keaton's The General, also another, this is a masterpiece of a movie. Buster Keaton deserves a lot more credit, really. How to Train Your Dragon 3D. I haven't seen it, so I can't comment on it. Ford versus Ferrari. Very surprised this is here. I actually quite enjoyed Ford versus Ferrari. I'd have to put it under good. It was a very good movie. 12 Years a Slave was a great movie. Great movie. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is one of Capra's best, one of Jimmy Stewart's best performances. It's a masterpiece of a movie. Barry Lyndon, one of Kubrick's lesser known movies, but if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend watching Barry Lyndon. It is an amazing movie. Let's see here. Looks like we're getting down to the final stretch here, ladies and gentlemen. Again, got to take a quick little wee break. So I'll be right back, fam.
Ways to support Teacher Ready. Under each video, join button, YouTube membership, click, select level. In the description, Discord, join, have fun. In the description also, Patreon, click, select level. In the description, donate, PayPal. Merch store, t-shirts. Email addresses in the description, and yes, I know I look like Bert Kreischer.
Oh, crap. I was muted this whole time? Oh, man. Ah, poop, poop, poop. Sorry, guys. I am so sorry about that. Ah, now I feel like a douchebag. Ah, yeah, sorry about that. I didn't unmute after my pee break there. Well, at least you saw me putting the movies in order. Yeah, sorry about that. Technical difficulties. But yeah, I was just going through my God tier movies. Yeah, so the God tier movies again: Godfather Part 2, Casablanca, 12 Angry Men, Doctor Strangelove, Godfather Part 1, Goodfellas, Seven Samurai, Pulp Fiction, Back to the Future, Chinatown, Raging Bull, All About Eve, To Kill a Mockingbird, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Amadeus, Lawrence of Arabia, and Taxi Driver. I gotta agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. The only one I would kind of want to. I am surprised Kill Bill 2 didn't make the list. That is quite surprising. There are actually a number of movies I am just shocked didn't make the top 250, and some definitely shocked like why they even made the top 250. But it is what it is. Let's see. Now we can hear those sweet face hole sounds of yours. That is so hot. I think that's the hottest thing anybody's ever told me. All right, so what do we get to? 2 hours and 13 minutes on the live stream. Technical difficulties, don't you mean user error? Well, wouldn't that be a technical difficulty? Yeah. Let's see. Let me go through the chat, see if I missed anything aside from people yelling at me that I was muted. Thank you, Stale, for the super chat and telling me that I was muted. Eddie, you're muted. You're muted, my dude. You're muted. Muted. Okay. Got it. So I didn't miss much except for the fact that I was a dick and muted myself. All right. Let's see if there's anything on Twitch. You're a very amazing person. You inspired me to protest my school for the year I had last year. Thank you. Oh, that means so much. Thank you so much, man. Do you have Scarface on that list? You damn right Scarface is on that list. So yeah, agree with me, disagree with me, but again, it's all opinions, of course. Movies are always subjective. Like I said, a lot of people consider, Monty Python, I get a lot of flack from, especially my other, friends or acquaintances that I know who I know are cinephiles like me, who just like obsessed with movies and movie history and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's all subjective. This is just my opinion. But movies are definitely something that I absolutely love since I was a kid. But yeah. So let's see. It's all good, Eddie. We love you. I love you too, Victor. Thank you so much. When will your next ER be? As there's plenty of them, I'm looking forward to. I just put out like 2 ERBs this past week. But obviously, like I said, I'm going to do all of them. I like Megamind over Toy Story. Hey, like I said, to each his own. To each their own. So anyway, I've been going at this for 2 hours, 15 minutes. As you can hear, definitely voice is going. So I'm going to have to sign off on this one. For everybody who did donate, really appreciate it. Means the world. Love you all. Thank you for the support. Again, been Teacher Eddie. This was a lot of fun. I will definitely do more of these and definitely try to do some history-based ones as well. But I really enjoyed this. It's just this one, this was a long one because it was 250 fucking movies. But otherwise, gonna shout out the Patreons, and I will catch you in the next one. Oh, Jesus.
And shouting out the Patreons who keep things running, starting with the Chancellors. Chris H., Blue Tech, Phoenix, Laughing Jackal, Electra James, Elena G., and Douglas C. The Principals, James R., Spacey Doodle, Ulrike, Mick, Quiet J., Clement, Vajandra, Murika Kari, Alan, Chad, Alex, Lauren, Aaron Shepard, Chris L., Lord Gandalf, Freeman, Nathan, Rasmus, Harry, The Boggle, Sophia, Robin, Luna, and Grumpy Scots. I've been Teacher Eddie, and I'll see you next time.